Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday morning. We are in the middle of what's going on for the week, and we're falling forward. We're going to go somewhere. We're going forward. So thanks for joining me. Hey, I'm Angela McGowan, your professional healthcare advocate, caregiver strategist, author and publisher of what? This book. What you don't know could kill you, how to get out of the hospital alive. That's right. And I am the founder of Angie's Pace, as patient advocates committed to excellence. So good Wednesday morning to all of you. So I don't know what's going on with my other platform, but I am still here. I'm a couple of minutes off, but hey, I was ready and prepared in case this happened once again. So thank you for joining me on this Wednesday morning. And so we are on part 3. I think I put part 4. What is today's Wednesday? So this is only part 3. Might have got ahead of myself because I was already working on part 4. So in any event, here we are today, day 3, part 3 of our medical errors series. Still covering misdiagnosis. And so this time we're talking actually about misdiagnosis in the emergency room. Does it happen? Well, let's get right to it, okay? Just in case you're just now joining me, I just want to remind you what we've already covered this week. First of all, medical errors, okay, is number 3. The number 3 killer of Americans that of the 10 things that kill America according to the CDC, but it is not on their list. And why isn't it on their list? Because there's no place to check it off on the death certificate. That's right. So that's why it is not there. Having the right primary caregiver, the PCP, all things run through the PCP. I say this once, I'll say this again. So it is super important that you are comfortable asking questions after you get the advice of your primary care physician, and that you are comfortable asking multiple questions, okay, about his or her advice, which would be the plan of care, treatment out options, etc. So now a powerful patient has no problem doing this. Why? Because a powerful patient is positive, prepared, persistent, passionate, and on purpose. And so for you to exhibit those characteristics of a powerful patient during your doctor's appointment, you have to have a mindset, a mind shift, a change of habits and thinking. And what is that? Glad you asked me. So at every doctor's appointment, when you're there to get that expert advice during your appointment, okay, this mindset of a powerful patient will enable you to stick up for yourself. That's right. To stick up for yourself by asking questions, asking the right questions, and listen to this, asking the hard questions. Hard questions like, okay, well, are there alternative treatments? What is the exact diagnosis? Okay, I told you it's not like charades sounds like. No, what is the exact diagnosis? And if you don't know it, if you're not sure, you should be telling me. That shouldn't be a secret. And here, listen. Here are 4 words. 5 if you consider one to be not a compound, which I do. All right. Here. Could it be something else? Okay, because whatever they're saying, if it's not in line with what you're feeling and what you've explained, there's another hard question that you and I have to ask every time the doctor comes in. Now let's talk about the emergency room. Okay, you're saying a misdiagnosis in the emergency room. Okay, well, listen, 10 to 30% of all diagnoses in the United States in the ER are wrong. I'm going to say that again. 10 to 30% of all the diagnoses in the United States, okay, in the ER are wrong, according to the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. Okay? I'm sorry. I said that wrong. Let me do this again. 10 to 30% of all diagnoses in the United States, period, are wrong, according to that agency. Just period, straight across the board. Not in the emergency room. I misquoted that. In the emergency room, the diagnoses are determined to be wrong 40% of the time. See that? 40% of the time. 10 to 30% straight out. Wherever your doctor's office is everywhere like that. But in the ER, okay, not 10 to 30, but 40% of the time, the diagnoses that are happening in the emergency room are wrong. Now, when people talk about the fine line of misdiagnosis, okay, so sometimes there's a misdiagnosis that's sort of close to a true diagnosis, okay, but it's still wrong, all right? But you say, oh, it's not that wrong. And it doesn't, how often does it really happen? It happens frequently to each of us, more frequently than you probably want to think or know. So why is this big thing about misdiagnosis undetected, unnoticed, covered up? How is it able to just sort of fly under the radar? Great question. I'm so glad that you asked me that. It's because it's so close to the real diagnosis. Like, for instance, the diagnosis you get might be bronchitis, but actually you have the flu. And what's going on with your lungs is a symptom of the flu. You see that? So because of that, the misdiagnosis is not big, shocking, but what happens is maybe the treatment that they give you for the flu and the diagnosis and the bronchitis is so similar, it goes under the radar. Okay, you're still feeling better, but regardless, it's still incorrect, okay? So it may not be a surprise to anyone that misdiagnoses, okay, no matter where they occur, happen to women more than men, even though it's not a gender specific. So how does that occur? You guys are really asking such great questions. Here it goes. Here's the reason of thought about women getting more misdiagnoses than men, because they're usually done, I call it a mass diagnosis. They're usually done with a bias. What kind of bias? Physicians, this is across the board, specialists, PCP, no matter who they are, physicians believe that women are more emotional. Their reactions and problems, their reactions to symptoms. And in addition, women do tend to go to the hospital definitely more than men in frequency. So naturally, they're going to get the most diagnosis in the first place. But across the board, women, we get mass diagnosed, we get diagnosed incorrectly more than men. In my book, I have a whole chapter on mass diagnosis, misdiagnosis, and delayed diagnosis. So let me talk briefly about the mass diagnosis, especially as it pertains to women. So the term mass diagnosis may not be common to many, but the action of mass diagnosing is as common as saying good morning before 12 noon, okay? Take a minute to think back on a few of your examinations and notable phrases that the physician chimed in as you began to describe your symptoms. Now you're doing your part to bring the information, right? In every example that I'm going to read, whether the doctor's the primary care physician, an ER physician, or specialist, okay, they dismiss the symptoms and replace the narrative with a few generalities of their own, okay? You might have said whatever it is. All of my patients are coming in with these symptoms this morning. They complain about the same thing. This is not anything to be overly concerned about. Most women your age. I've seen this in my female patients at your weight. Let me recommend this for you. As a single mom, I'm sure it's just added parenting stress. I'll give you a sleeping aid. Yes. That is the narrative that comes back to women when they express their symptoms, what's going on with them. It's lumped into generalities, and they are put in forward motion to get out of that exam room for the next patient. So how can you and I, as women, as men, respond to the potential of receiving a misdiagnosis? What can we do to make sure that doesn't happen? Well, I said yesterday, and I want to reiterate this. When you get a diagnosis, no matter what it is, okay, you need to, let me say, not you need to, but waiting more or being in a state of indecision, okay, will perpetuate the state of misdiagnosis. What am I saying that? Because you need to, based on what they said, based on your symptoms, evaluate it, okay, get that, not challenge, but sometimes you have to challenge, question, ask multiple questions about this diagnosis and about what the plan of care is. And you set yourself up for a misdiagnosis when you do not confirm the diagnosis with a second opinion. It's absolutely your right. It's not about against the doctor, the hospital, the insurance company. It's about you being powerful and sticking up for yourself. I said, and I'll say this again, we have a false sense of loyalty, or maybe in place of what we call intimidation, because we're just like, well, that's what the doctor said. But you remember this, that when your doctor gives you a misdiagnosis, when you don't get great service, when you don't ask questions, when you just walk out not really knowing what the next step is, not being able to repeat to the people you love what just happened and having elevator conversation, that he or she continues to go right on with their lives. But you may not have the ability to go on with yours the way that you have been, because misdiagnosing, what? It affects your care. Are you getting care for your diagnosis or not? The medications, is it the right medication or not? Maybe it's the right one for the misdiagnosis, but it's not right for you. Your finances, maybe you're paying a higher rate for a prescription that really shouldn't be yours because the diagnosis is wrong and you didn't have it confirmed. Your family is brought into this. Now they're all in as caregivers, as helpers, or things are changing in the family dynamic. A misdiagnosis affects your future. It affects your bottom line. Are you off 2 weeks or 2 months? Are you off 2 months or 8 months? Because you haven't confirmed, because you are not asking questions about the plan of care, about the medications, about the return visits, about testing. Is an invasive procedure necessary? Do you have to have exploratory surgery? What are they looking for? What, and if they find it, what's the next step? You don't wait for somebody to, somebody give you surgery, find something, and then you talk. No, if you find something, what's going to happen right then? If you don't find something, what's the next step? It's just as important as if you find something. Because if you don't find anything, that meant there was a misdiagnosis. There's something wrong. We still have to go back and to the drawing board to find out, what can we do about giving yourself the excellent health care that you definitely deserve? I said it. Listen, the diagnosis is not the same as your symptoms, but the documentation of symptoms is your evidence to present to your doctor, your PCP, your specialist, the ER doctor, what is going on with you. So excellent health care, we already know it's not a privilege. We know it is your right. And now I'm telling you, it is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to speak up for yourself and for your health. Those few words, could it be something else? Don't be afraid to say those words. And so listen, thank you for joining me. I invite you to actually visit on my website. See if I can put it up here right now while we're on. And maybe not. Yes. Angie's Pace. Okay, so that is actually my website. You can go straight there, bit.ly/Angie's Pace. And most importantly, I love to have a 20-minute results call with you. And so let me give this to you now. Because results is what we're talking about, okay? I want to know, what results do you need that you're not getting? And here's the bit.ly link for that. Now, why? Look, I'm just typing away. As we can see, nothing's happening. There it is. Okay. BIT, I'll just say it. LY/advocate Angie. That is me. Okay, so listen, I'm Angela McGowan, your professional healthcare advocate, caregiver strategist. I help you navigate through healthcare's sea of red tape, and I create strategies that will allow you to give excellent care to those that you love and care for as you care for yourself as well. And remember, okay, we are talking about misdiagnosis that we can do something about. It's 4 words. Could it be something else? Be powerful. Don't forget you can be a part of the Powerful Patient Movement by going to the bit.ly link with the same name, Powerful Patient Movement. I'll also leave that in the comments as well. So I'm leaving you with what? 2 things today. Blessings and joy. Why is that? Because they both belong to you. Have an awesome day, and tomorrow it really will be part 4. Because I think that's what I put up before. It's part 3 today, but we are moving to part 4. Have an awesome, awesome week. Thank you for joining. Bye.